Happy Monday, guys. Mr. Lombardo back here helping you out. Week two of virtual learning. Just before we get going here, I want to clear up a couple things. Conference hours. If you have any questions about this stuff that I am going to teach today, my conference hours happen on Wednesday and Thursday. And if you're asking what a conference hour is, I will be live on Zoom, and you can have me answer any questions that you have regarding the practice worksheets, or maybe just something in the notes that you want me to clarify. Okay. Wednesday and Thursday are my days that I'll be on Zoom. Wednesday is from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock in the morning, so up early for that one. And then Thursday is from 11 o'clock to noon. Okay. So that's all posted on my Schoology, though, just so you know. All right. Another thing before we get going here, I've had a lot of questions. Probably the most frequently asked question by students and parents is, where do we turn in the practice materials that we are doing? Where do we do the work? Where do we put the worksheets, our work? Where do we show all that? You do not have to turn it in. All of this stuff that I'm giving you to do is voluntary. Okay, it's encouraged because you need these skills and you need to know these things to move on to 7th grade. But I can't give you a grade. I cannot give you a grade for the work you're doing. It's all practice and kind of just for your own benefit. Okay, you don't have to turn anything in. All right. Wednesday, check the answer key when I release it to make sure you're doing it right, and then you can come back and ask me any questions during conference hours, okay? If you have any questions, email me, and we'll get that going, okay? So, today, we are looking at two different concepts. This is going to be the first video of two. Pretty short, but first video of two. We're going to look at area of parallelograms and area of triangles. Okay, this first video will be just focusing on the area of parallelograms. Second video will be triangles, okay? So, essential question to get us started out, what's the big picture here? We're looking at how does measurement help you solve problems in everyday life? That's what we're going to figure out, okay? Common Core State Standards, just so you know what we are focusing on today. We're going to be finding the area of right triangles. We're also going to be looking at the dimensions of triangles as well. We'll figure out how to find those when they give us the area, okay? And here's that again. We're going to find the area of parallelograms, and we are going to find the missing dimensions given the area, okay? So we'll focus on these concepts, these vocab words: polygon, parallelogram, rhombus, base, height, formula. You'll probably only need parallelogram, base, and height in a formula, obviously, today. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And let's get going, okay? Area of a parallelogram. A parallelogram, first of all, is this shape right here. You can see my cursor. Kind of looks like a square or a rectangle, and they kind of just took it and tilted it to the side, just like this, okay? A parallelogram is a quadrilateral. That means it has 4 sides and it's connected, okay? The shape is connected. The reason it's called a parallelogram is because it has 2 sets of parallel sides. Parallel sides are sides that never will touch each other, ever, 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 okay? How they are lined up, if you want to look at this side right here, the one on the left and the one on the right, if these were to keep going and going and going, okay, they would never touch each other. Okay, so it has one set of parallel sides, and then it also has a second pair of parallel sides, the top and the bottom lines. If these were to continue on forever and ever and ever, they would never touch each other. That's why this is a parallelogram, okay? The biggest thing you need to know for today, if you're writing something down or jotting anything down, making notes, this is the biggest thing you need to know today. A is equal to BH. That is called a formula. It's going to help you find your answers, okay? Area equals base times height. Area equals base times height. That is the formula for a parallelogram. Anytime you're trying to figure out the area of a parallelogram, you will use this formula every single time, okay? Here is what that looks like. Your base can be on the top or the bottom. Okay, that's what B stands for, base. It is on the top or the bottom. It's what that shape sits on, and it can be the top or the bottom. Okay, just because it sits on the bottom, this length right here is actually the same length as this top one as well. These two are equal sides. So whatever the one is up here, it's also the length down here as well. Okay. Now, probably the most, the thing that you're going to get most confused by, and I guess I hope not, I'm going to try and clear this up for you. You need to know that this dotted line is your height. A lot of people get confused and they think that this diagonal line is your height. Okay? It's actually not. Okay, that's not a true height because it's on a diagonal. A true height means it's going straight up and down. So if you ever go to the doctor's and you just go for a checkup or you're sick or something like that, you'll notice that every single time the nurse makes you step on the scale, she also does your height, or he or she also does your height. Okay, they will tell you make sure you're standing straight up and down. Because if you're slouched over, or if you're leaned up against the wall, you actually don't get your true height. They can't tell what your true height is. You have to be able to stand straight up and down so they know exactly what height you are. That's why we're going to use this line, this dotted line that goes straight up and down for your height today. All right. All right. First example, find the area of a parallelogram. They give you a shape here. And you have to figure out, they really don't tell you. Normally this would not be here. This would not be here. This is just a little note in our little notes today. But this, inside this box, it will not show you that in your problems, all right? You actually have to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So our base is 6. And then our height, remember, we're counting the dotted lines. We're going up and down, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So my height is 6. Or my height's 8, excuse me. As you can see, we're still going to use the formula area equals base times height. Like I said, every single time today, we're going to be using that, okay? All you have to do is take whatever the base is and plug it in for B. And take whatever the height is and plug it in for H. It's pretty simple. And then we just have a simple multiplication problem. 6 times 8, you'll be able to find out that the area is 48. Okay. Now a big thing for area, you're going to notice that we're going to be using this as your units. Okay. Keep in mind it is units squared. The reason that we use units squared is because we have a two-dimensional shape. All right. A lot of people like to say, oh, well, we're using this 2 because we're multiplying two numbers. That's a good way to remember that we're going to be using units squared. Okay. Let's go ahead and move on. We'll try one of these here. All right, same idea. Let me pull out my pen here, and we'll count. Okay, I need to find the base and the height. Remember, area equals base times height. Base times height. Let's figure out what our base is. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there are 4 boxes on the bottom, so my base is 4. So when I plug this in, it's going to be area equals, just plug in your 4 for your base, and then we got to count the height straight up and down. Remember, along this dotted line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is my height. I'm going to plug this in, and I just have a very, very simple multiplication problem. Your area is equal to, oops, sorry, that's bad, 20, and then we're going to go with units. I'm just going to put u squared. Okay, 20u squared. Sorry about the weird 20. All right. Let's go ahead and give another one here. Now, the reason I included this example is because, all right, we have 3 numbers now. We have 3 numbers. We're still going to use area equals base times height, but I need to figure out which one is my base and which one is my height, all right? Well, you should know right away that 20 is going to be your base because it's the one that it sits on, all right? It's the one that your shape sits on, the 20. So we're going to plug in 20 for B here in a second. Now, you have 2 to choose from, 11 or 13 for your height, okay? Remember, your height has to be straight up and down. That's why we're going to use this 11 one. Notice your 13 is on a slant, okay? We don't want to use that slanted side for your height. Use the one that goes straight up and down. So we're going to actually just plug in. This is your base, 20. What's the one that it sits on, and your height goes straight up and down, 20 and 11, okay? and you have a multiplication problem there, 20 times 11, and you will get 220. And remember, we are using our new units here. Centimeters squared this time because they give us what the units are. It says centimeters. The other ones were just units. Okay, it was just plain old units because they didn't give us anything. Let's try one together. Okay. Remember, we're going to go ahead and use our formula that we're going to be using every single time. Area is equal to base times height. Okay. We have to plug in what we know. Remember, we're going to try and find the area. And the base, it's the one that the shape sits on, so we know it's going to be 8. And the height, there's only one other number here. They made it pretty easy on you. Remember, we do not want to use the diagonal. Don't use that. Use the one that goes straight up and down. In this case, it is 5. So I have a nice and easy multiplication problem. Area equals 8 times 5, which happens to be 40. And they give us centimeters for this one, and make sure you have squared in your answer. Okay, just 5 times 8. All right, let's try one or two of these. No longer finding the area. If you read your directions, it says find the missing dimension, or it means find the missing side. Okay, find the missing side or find the missing height, whatever it is. Okay. If you look at the problem, it tells us that in this case the area is 45 inches squared. So we're no longer finding the area. We're going to find the base or the height. Okay. But we're going to use that information of the area to help us out. Okay, it's going to help us do this. Okay, notice that the base they give you up here. Remember, these two are the same height, the same length. Okay, the base is 9, and we do not know what the height is. Okay, it does not tell me what the height is. It's just blank. So I'm going to be finding that dimension right there. Let's find what that value is. And here's how you do this. Still using area equals base times height. I told you you're going to use it every single time. Okay. You need to plug in what you know. Okay. Plug in what the problem gives you. Notice that they tell you that A is equal to 45. That is why we plugged in 45 in the A spot. Okay. And also we know that the base is 9. That's why we take that 9 and we plug that in for our B. Okay. We do not know what the H is yet. Okay. We're going to try and figure that out. All right. Now, if you remember from solving equations and expressions, to solve for your variable, you need to get it by itself. Okay, get it by itself. Remember, what is on the same side as our variable? What's on the same side as our h? Well, we have a multiplication sign and the 9 sign. If you remember, I would always ask you, hey, what's the opposite of multiplying by 9? That's how we get rid of that. Hopefully, you're thinking the opposite of multiplying by 9 is dividing by 9. Notice that that's what they're doing right here. They're just dividing by 9, dividing by 9. Whatever you do to one side, algebra's golden rule, you do to the other. Hopefully you were like, oh gosh, I never thought I'd hear that again, because I've said it a million times. Whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. That's algebra's golden rule. Okay. How you come up with 5 in this case? Remember, your 9s will cancel each other out, and then you're just left with the simple division problem. 45 divided by 9, and that is equal to 5. So that missing height was 5 inches. Okay. So you're actually just doing the opposite of multiplying to figure this out, which is dividing. Okay. Let's try one more and then we'll be good for this video. Let's go through it. It says find the base. I'm trying to figure out what is the base. I don't want to know what's the area. They tell me what the area is. Okay. Like I told you, you're going to be using area is equal to base times height. Okay. You use it every single time. For parallelograms, okay? Let's plug in what we know. We know that the area is 21, so let's plug that in for our A, okay? So now I have 21 is equal to, Remember, I don't know the base, so I'm going to keep that b there. I don't know what that is yet. And it tells me that my height is 7. Let's plug in that 7 for the h. Okay, so now I have 21 is equal to b times 7. 21 is equal to b times 7. I have to, and in this equation, I have to get my variable by itself. I have to get b all by itself. Okay? I have a multiply by 7 that is on the same side. I need to get rid of that multiply by 7. I do that by doing the opposite of multiplying by 7, which is dividing by 7. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. Okay, algebra's golden rule. Get rid of your 7s. They'll just cancel each other out. Mom and dad at home, or parent, grandma, grandpa, brother, sister, whoever is with you right now, the reason that these 7s cancel each other out is because they just equal 1. 7 divided by 7 is just equal to 1. And all the kids know, we had a big discussion that 1b and b and just b by itself are the exact same thing. Okay? So that's why these 7s kind of cancel each other out. So we are left with, on that side, b, which is what we want. Okay, we wanted to get b all by itself. We wanted to figure out what the base was. And I have a division problem. 21 divided by 7, that is equal to a very bad 3, but it's 3. And my units that need to go with this are centimeters. Okay, we're not doing centimeters squared because I'm not figuring out the area. It's just what is the base. Okay, 3 centimeters. We were right. All right, answering this essential question from the beginning of our lesson. How did what you learned today help you answer the essential question? How does measurement help you solve problems in everyday life? Here could be some answers that you could come up with: finding the area of a parallelogram or that kind of shaped object, maybe in your house, classroom, room, whatever it is, and using appropriate units of measure with area, so making sure we know what units we're supposed to use. Units, centimeters, inches, feet, feet squared, centimeters squared, inches squared, whatever it may be. Okay. Keep an eye out for that practice worksheet. It will be under what to do, okay, what to complete. It'll be under the what to complete folder. Make sure you check out my next video, area of a triangle. All right. Thanks, guys.